to chime in. But first things first, I wanted to say all due respect and best wishes to everybody out there. Hopefully, everybody stays safe. Second thing is, this is just my opinion. This is a global pandemic, so things can change rapidly. But let's begin. First things I want to touch on is that with real estate, this situation is showing like if you're going to be a landlord or invest in any way, how important a cash position is. Because right now they're suspending evictions. So for me, that will basically means I'm still responsible for repairs and things of that nature, but no rent is coming in. Basically, if a tenant decide not to pay, which they might because they know they can't get evicted, and there might be a backlog. So 2 or 3 months reprieve on evictions. You know, they'll probably have a backlog in the courts because all the court dates got pushed back and that kind of stuff. So it might be 3 to 6 months, maybe, where I'm not getting any rent from a property. You know, so it can get dicey, and that's why you need to have cash reserves, because things happen. Like this outbreak, this event happened, and you have to be able to weather the storm. You can't really do that if you don't have cash. So people who are thinking about investing, this is something before you get into investing you want to consider, because imagine if you still had to pay the mortgage, because my mortgage for my house isn't suspended, and I still got to make repairs. Just because someone's not paying their rent doesn't mean the furnace isn't going to go up. Knock on wood for anything bad to happen to my house, but like stuff can happen even if you're not collecting rent, and you're still liable for the property taxes and things of that nature. So it's just something you have to be careful of, and make sure that you have a large cash position to weather the storm, because storms do happen. It's part of the game. But like this right now is showing the importance of a cash position, and a lot of you guys probably, I won't say a lot of you guys, people out there think a landlord, if they're getting $1,500 for rent, all 1,500 of that is going into their pocket. No, they have to pay property taxes. They gotta pay for repairs. They might have a mortgage. So you gotta keep those margins up there for times like this. And this is just something you gotta think of. Like they're doing aid because people are sick and losing their jobs. And if they suspend mortgages, that's going to help landlords out. But somebody living in the house, Murphy's Law, things are going to go wrong, and you're still responsible for fixing those things. So make sure you have a cash position that's very large. Right now, real estate is showing why it's one of the investments lots of people like to put in their portfolio, because the stock market is crashing, but the real estate market isn't crashing. People think it might be a recession, because probably Q1 is almost over. We'll probably have negative economic growth unless something crazy happens, and if it continues, it's supposed to continue into next month. So, because a recession is like a backward-looking indicator, so we might be set up for a recession, because a recession is 2 quarters of negative growth. So, depending on how long this goes into Q2, we might have a recession, and real estate prices, at least now, aren't really affected. You gotta understand, especially when doing residential investment properties, landlords, investors know what something is worth, and nothing really changed with the fundamentals of real estate. So the houses prices are still stable. They're still where they are, and that's why real estate could be a good investment to put in your portfolio, because the stock market is going down. The value of my houses haven't gone down. Recently, they just put into that rent thing, but before then, like my rents don't go down because the stock market goes down by a lot. The stock market can go to $50. The Dow Jones can go to $50. My rent on my one property would still be 1,500. You know what I mean? Like that's, it diversifies you out of the stock market. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that like certain things are putting into place. Like they're putting the interest rates down lower. So you would think that would lower mortgage rates, but because so many people went to like refinance their house because they saw mortgage interest rates were so low by the Fed, the banks are actually artificially inflating them. Not all banks, but like Bank of America, I know for a fact interest rate went up, even though rates went down, and basically the reason is that so many people, supply and demand, I guess, but that's not what they lowered rates for. They're supposed to make it easier for people to borrow. But so actually in this recession, it's actually more expensive. Not recession, I'll take that back. In this economic crisis, global pandemic, it's actually more expensive to buy a house if you're buying a house leveraged. Even though interest rates are lower and the stock market's in the toilet, so everything isn't cheap all at one time. And so real estate is a good thing you want to put in your portfolio, I would say, because the price isn't really correlated with the stock market per se. The last economic crash was actually like tied to mortgages, but like it gives you diversification away from the stock market. It can get you some income. Imagine if you're somebody and you don't have the ability to work from home, or you work at like a hotel or something that's shut down. It would be nice that to have a rental property that at least has the potential to bring you in some rent, or was bringing you in some rent right now. You know what I mean? And that's why you want to diversify. I know it's tough to get your first property, second property, third property, but I think real estate is something people should put in their portfolio some way, some shape or fashion, because it's just in times like this, it shows its value. Unless things go all the way to HE double hockey sticks, people are going to need a place to live, and you'll be able to collect rents. People gotta need a place to live. So once everything cools down, who knows when the stock market's gonna go back up? But when things get back to normal, people understand, even though they have this reprieve right now, that if they don't pay their rent, they'll get put out. I don't want to put anybody on the streets in a time like this, but that's just saying. So this is Nick signing out. I'm going to do another video on, because right now isn't a great time, this just a regular time to buy real estate. I'm going to do a video on stock market investing and show you guys like how the actual markets are performing right now. But real estate, long story short, nothing's really changed from last week. It's actually a little bit harder to buy real estate in this economic shutdown, and you have a potential not to collect rents. But real estate, the housing values are pretty much stayed the same, at least here in Baltimore. Only thing is, this is where you might want to have, if you got the ability to send money overseas, the US dollar went up recently. So while real estate pretty much in the United States, unless you live in a place that was like quarantine maybe, but like Baltimore City, same prices as it was a month ago, a little bit more expensive. But for example, in certain other countries, because US dollar is still the world reserve currency, the US dollar is strong right now. If you were sitting on some money and you wanted to make a play in another country, you could buy on a discount. So that's why you might want to look into having like foreign bank accounts for times like this. You can send some money over there, and now is a great time. You can get a nice little discount on a property that you might have been searching for in another country. So real estate is global, and you just play the game and try and take advantage as you can. US dollar is strong right now. That means the other currencies aren't as strong. So even though in the base currency it's still the same price, you could buy it as a discount as a US investor. So this is Nick signing out. Look for the video on stock investing coming soon.